All right. What is happening, guys? Sweet. Looks like we got four people joining. This is the first time that I've ever done a YouTube live. So, just going to kind of do a little bit of recap, give you some of my thoughts about what went down this weekend at Tampa at the Florida State Fairgrounds. So, we had the Beast of the Bay on Saturday and the USS Masters Pro Worlds and Amateur State Championships. So, I'm going to kind of just talk about what I think were some successes, some things that didn't go as well. If you are here in the chat, if you want to ask me some questions, answer them as we go along. But let's just kind of get into it, man. We had 5 events on each day. We started with the fire truck pull. Then we had the max axle clean and press. Then we had a deadlift 4 reps and diddy carry, and followed by the sandbag pyramid. Okay, so I'm going to kind of start off with one thing that I think did not work as well as I would have liked, and that was the fire truck pull for day one. That reason being that downhill slope that we ended up having a little bit of that road on, it really picked up momentum rather quickly. So I was hoping for a little bit more of a big challenge to get a lot of the upper body and legs going at the same time, but it picked up a lot of steam, and there was a lot of times that were, kind of around 20 seconds. That being said, we did switch on Sunday to make it a 100-foot pull with no rope, and I think that ended up working pretty well. So can't really promise or guarantee anything for next year, but a lot of people did say that they really, really enjoyed that, and we'll see. But I think I would like to bring that back again next year. Now, if you were there, you'll remember it is Florida in September, and it was really hot. So you might have seen me. I was absolutely drenched in sweat standing on that asphalt. Now, I want to kind of just go over a few things that I've gotten from different people in my feedback form. Some people were saying that was a bad idea to have that event, in their words, in the middle of summer. That lasted 2 hours. But two things. One, we did have a really awesome live stream for the event. So a couple people did also put that they were watching the live stream and keeping up with the order, so they knew when they had to get out there and do their truck pull. So I think that was pretty good. And that's just some things that you learn as a competitor, that you know how to time those things. You yourself could walk out there and check out and kind of see how far left you have to go. Or maybe if this is coming next year and you want to come back and do it, that like you could bring a canopy or set up in that like tent area next year. So I am honestly a little disappointed in like how easy that one was. But if we bring that back again next year, which I would like to, it's kind of up to the Hillsborough County Fire Rescue, then we'll make it harder. Okay, so live and learn. And that's kind of what all of these are about at the end of the day is, whether you're an athlete or myself as the promoter, what can we do better next time? Every time that I've personally competed in anything, I've learned so much and I've gotten better every time. So let's go ahead and move into a little bit of the axle clean and press. I thought this one was really a lot of fun. In my opinion, just so you kind of know where my brain is at, I always think that there should be a like very, very, very heavy like single or like double, triple type of thing. So in my shows, I try my best to have something like an axle, clean and press. Last year we did a max axle deadlift. And like another thing that I learned, if you were here from last year, we were running one lane of the axle deadlift, and that ended up taking a little bit long. It kind of dragged out. Didn't really work logistically as well as I would have liked, but we did run 2 lanes of the axle clean and press this year. And it was great. We saw a lot of big lifts. So on Saturday, I believe Rush Davenport, who was one of the middleweights, hit a 220. He was a 220-pound weight class lifter, ended up in a 295 axle. And then on Sunday, in the middleweight masters division, we had Luke Allfield, who hit a 335 national record lift at also in that 220 weight class. We also had a few others. Carrie Ann Davis ended with a 185 axle clean and press. That's a national record in the Masters 50 plus. And I'm so sorry, I believe it was Michelle Johnston hit a 215 or potentially even 225 max axle clean and press. That was a national record in the Masters women's 40 plus division. So that was pretty cool. I love having axles in there. We'll kind of see what we're going to do. I do have an idea for next year that involves a heavy overhead. I'm not going to really divulge too much at this point in time because it's a year away, but I am telling you that I'm listening to your feedback. So if you're an athlete and you're tuning in, you got my feedback form email. I do pay attention to what you guys want to see in these shows, and I try my best to see what we can work in. Some things logistically just cannot happen. Um, but like I'm always open to options and opinions. So that followed up with the deadlift for reps. One thing that I thought I did an okay job of, just personally, not to make this about me, but I thought I did a mostly good job of picking all the weights for a lot of these classes, with the exception of the teen divisions. This was the first time that I had had teen divisions in any show ever. So some of the women were getting into 20 plus, maybe 25, 26 on some of those, but I didn't really know whether I was going to be getting like 19-year-olds, 15-year-olds. I had no idea. But again, live and learn. If I were to do this again next year, I might just separate it into age categories instead of weight categories. So we'll see. But, that's that. So do want to invite you again, if you're in here and you got this chat box like on your browser or anything, feel free to drop me a comment, ask me a question as I'm kind of running through, giving you my thoughts on some of these things. So one thing that some of you guys may not know, and we'll just have to plan ahead better next year, when we were getting started for the deadlifts on Saturday, one of the warm-up bars, I did have 2 bars that were going to be set for warm-ups. One of them just ended up missing. I have no idea what happened to it. Long story short, so I told everybody, like, hey, very sorry about this. This is missing. So please try to warm up with like axles, this and that, or whatever you can do. So I hear you, those of you that said there's only 1 deadlift bar to warm up with. Was supposed to have 2. Next year, I'll have even more. I'll make it happen. Have some really cool partnerships coming up with equipment that will allow me to have a better suited warm-up area. And believe it or not, this was a better warm-up area and space than last year. One thing I also just do want to say, not to be unsympathetic, but at USS Nationals, where there was 600 lifters, there were 2 yokes in the back to warm up with. And that is not in any way a complaint from me. You just have to make do with what's available. So I hear you. We'll do my best to improve on that. But sometimes you're going to go to shows and you're going to have tons of stuff to warm up with, and other times you won't. That's just how it goes. OSG is another one where there's several hundred people and only kind of a handful of things to warm up on, but you just have to do what you have to do on that. But I will still try to make that a little bit better. I'm honestly surprised, going into this next event, the Denny carry is something that had a lot of positive reviews. That was a lot of people's favorite movement from the weekend, and I'm really happy about that because I was hoping that would be a well received. It's kind of a fun challenge. It doesn't seem sometimes like it's too much weight, but there's a lot of tough things on the grip going on there. There's core imbalances that you have to work with, and as the 4th event, it's a cool, just unique kind of challenge in there in the mix of everything else. So when I'm planning these events out, what I try to think of is like, how can we, kind of have some complementing factors and events throughout the day. So we're not like overloading one area, and we're also testing different skill sets that I think is important for strongman. So as we're kind of talking about some of these events, we have a very heavy moving fire truck pull was the idea, which requires a lot of coordination, upper back grip, and leg strength, as well as just having some proprioception and technique and understanding how to use your body with a large moving vehicle. And then we also, with the axle clean and press, there always, in my opinion, has to be some element of an overhead press. That could be 2 things sometimes, but like it's in my opinion, it has to be in the mix. That's an essential part of strongman. So axles have a lot of room for variability with technique and things like that. But at the end of the day, it's just a good overhead event. Kind of same with deadlift, in my opinion. That's a full body kind of classic functional movement. There doesn't always have to be a deadlift, but some sort of test of your posterior chain strength should be in the mix somewhere. So as we're talking about the Denny carry, right? Like that's a lot of grip strength. It's a lot of balance. It's a lot of core, and it's a lot of upper back. In order to like stabilize and do it correctly. So, which of these Cole's dropping in? What's up, Cole? It's good to see you this weekend, man. Says which of these events would have been your favorite if I was competing? I love a good truck pull. I love deadlifts. Denny's are pretty fun. Honestly, I usually try to pick events that I personally would want to do. There's a lot of elements of when I run these shows, it's things that I want to see more of in the world of strongman. So it's a cop out answer to say all of them, but honestly, probably that sandbag pyramid at the end. So let's go ahead and get into that because I kind of covered all the other ones. The sandbag pyramid was the ascending rep situation where we would have one sandbag to shoulder, carry 25 feet, drop. Two sandbags to shoulders, carry 25 feet, drop. Three, carry 25 feet, drop. Now, one thing that we did over the weekend, I originally planned that to be a 2-minute event, and it was dropped to 90 seconds for overall time considerations for the total show. I think that ended up being the right move because everybody was kind of gassing out and really giving it their all. I think 90 seconds was an appropriate time frame for that. I think that actually would have been my favorite. I like having events at the end of shows that are like a real gut check. So there is, like I was just talking about though, there are elements in my opinion that were in that are crucial to be a good strongman. So there's athleticism, there's a mix of speed on your carries, pacing, understanding the rate that you need to go to score really well. You have to have the skill down of a sandbag to shoulder, and you have to be strong to do it just in general. But as we know, sandbags require grip strength, arm strength, back strength, leg strength, core, and all of that. But that probably would have been my favorite. If deadlift for reps, I always love because I tend to do very, very well with those. But I've never personally seen that style sandbag event done. So that's probably my favorite. No, this was really awesome. I think the top scores for both days, we saw a couple 11s on that sandbag pyramid. A lot of people getting into that like round of 3, round of 4, but not quite getting there. So if you were in 11, that meant you made it through 4 and got 1 in your round of 5. Really fun. Really fun. So that's kind of a rundown of the events. I want to talk about the venue itself. The Fit Fest, in my opinion, this was the best year that they had yet of that. It was as big, bigger than it's ever been. Saturday in particular. Sunday was a little slower comparatively, but still had pretty good time and draw. But geez, Saturday was nuts between arm wrestling, bodybuilding, more on that in a second. Jiu-jitsu that were in our corner, that big CrossFit, powerlifting, weightlifting, that all those things going on. So it was cool that, especially on Saturday, if you were there, we had a huge crowd going on. We had a huge crowd that was very energetic all day long. And the only kind of, downfall to some of this is that the bodybuilding stage, in my opinion, was way too loud and sort of overwhelming. Now, things that I can just plan ahead for next year, which I'm taking notes again from your feedback forums. Be great to do a bench press variation next year. Never say never, brother. Well, we will see. We will see. Yeah, never say never. But that bodybuilding stage was so loud, and a lot of people said get a megaphone or switch something up with the microphone and PAs. Like I definitely am going to plan ahead differently next year for that. I understand that it was probably a little confusing sometimes to figure out where you needed to be, this and that, hear announcements. We tried to do our best, but also other things too. Like I think probably next year I'll do something like a broadcast channel, like a Signal app or something, to blast announcements out to athletes as we're going along, so everybody has access to something like that. If you're like out running to the bathroom or doing something else, and you don't miss that announcement right there. So bench press variation. Let me ask you, Mr. Trapper King. Don't know you by your username, but yeah, any ideas on a bench press variation you like to see? I've thought about this before. Um, Southeast Strongman Open, I believe, this past year had a max yoke bench press. That could potentially be something we're going to do. It's going to just kind of depend on, again, equipment availability and what we can get done there. But I'm really open to whatever, and I want to make these things fun. I'm not into boring events such as like a front hold. I think front holds are snooze fests. If that ever comes into one of my shows, it's going to be something with a crazy spectacle. And if you're watching now, hint, 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 part of a very large show where there could be as many as 6 or 8 or 10 events, potentially over 2 days. Read into that comment however you want. So that's that. Some other things. Well, I got to tell you, I already have some plans for next year that are pretty cool. Holds make for fun tiebreakers. Yeah, like a farmer's hold or something. Yeah, I can get into that. That's another thing too. Is again, like when we're talking about framing and putting these things together, maybe an event or two that some deem boring is okay if it is like strategically placed. So at World's Strongest Manatee in 2023, we had a farmer's hold that was immediately before an arm over arm rope pull with a tractor. So that was, in my opinion, I was kind of gaming that a little bit for the athletes because that's an event that fries your grip before you go into a super grip dominant event. So, as far as again, laying these things out, the event in order, like that's just kind of part of the game. And you as an athlete have to strategize and figure out what that's going to be. One thing I will definitely do, Cole, is I did not have a tiebreaker event this year. We did tiebreakers by countback. There's only one tie that was in the super heavyweight division. So Martin Espino took that. But next year there will definitely be a planned ahead tiebreaker event to be determined, whatever that's going to be. But kind of again, is running you through some of my train of thoughts on how these events went is, to balance between all those elements. And you typically don't want to do like two really heavy lower back events back to back, right? So you want at least some sort of rest or something in there. Now that deadlift was separated by the Denny carry, which is not particularly back demanding, does fry your grip, but that gives you a little bit of space before you go into the sandbag situation, which was again kind of low back heavy, depending on how you lift that. So that's kind of a quick rundown. It was really cool to run a Masters Pro World show. When I left official strongman games this last year, I really said in my head, like, wow, that was so much fun. I wish there was more pro shows or at least shows of this caliber in Florida. So I had the opportunity to run this Masters Pro Worlds, and I took it. I was honestly kind of nervous, had a little bit of I was a little anxious, hoping that it would go well, but I think it was really a good hit. And I continue to learn things as we get along into promoting. This is actually my 5th year of promoting strongman competitions, and it gets a little bit better every year. One year when I went to the Arnold Classic, they had talked about they were in their 17th year of the Arnold Strongman Classic. And sometimes I try to remind myself, like, what could happen if I just make it to 10? Where I've come from in 5 is pretty amazing. We had over 100 athletes signed up over the weekend. The very first strongman event that I ran was, I think, 9 people. The second one was about 20. The third one was a Static Monsters that was like 13 or 14. So who knows what's going to come, but it doesn't happen without the support of all you people. I see some of you guys are watching. I really appreciate it. I don't know who, but whoever you are, thank you so much. I'm just going to kind of sit tight for a little bit for probably about 2 more minutes. If anybody has any questions that they want to drop into the chat, would be, I'll answer whatever you got for me. But I'm going to be looking to do a few more of these live streams on different strongman topics. I think maybe this time, like Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern might be it. We'll see, but there's a lot of cool things coming up. If you have not done so already, I'd really appreciate if you would hit subscribe to my channel, help me grow this thing. I've got a lot of good videos up already about some technique tutorials and just different concepts on strongman as far as like, what shoes should you wear? Here's how you program for this type of thing, and other little small elements. When is your next show? The next show that I am competing in is the official strongman games at the end of the year here. As far as the next show that I am running, to be determined. We will see. I'm not really sure at this moment in time. I haven't I haven't really finished doing all the wrap up stuff from this one yet. That's going to be happening for the next couple of days. But all I can tell you for sure is it seems like a done deal that we are running this thing again next year, and it really is my intention and goal to make it the premier strongman competition in Florida. And I don't want it to be that way by just hype and me saying it is. I want it to be because of the people that had a great time and look forward to it each year and each event and edition. Am I planning on doing another team event? Honestly, no, not at this point. However, never say never. Danny Sutterfield. Danny, believe it or not, at my very first competition, very first one I ever ran, we did a car floor press. It was a special event type situation. So we actually it was on the outside of a like warehouse, and the outside had a down garage ramp, right? So it was TD Davis, who was actually at this Fit Fest. TD Smash benched a Nissan Cube for like 10 reps. So we put him under it. So he sort of had like an incline angle, and he pressed it out there. So I'm going to never say never, but we'll see. But that has been done before. As far as I know, I think I'm the only person to have a car bench press in any sort of event. But I'm not, I'm open to be proven wrong. I've seen a motorcycle press. I've seen where it's like a deadlift lever, like a car deadlift platform, where they put two motorcycles on the side, like stationed them up, and got under that on a bench and pressed it out. So it can be done. It can be done. So kind of to follow up with that, Zach asked if I was doing another team event. The answer is no to that. And one of the reasons being is I really want to put more steam into this one event. I really want to make this Beast of the Bay situation at the Fit Fest like really, really, really large scale. And when I did this event last year, I had Static Monsters and the team event to follow this up. So like I just like immediately went into that, but it also meant I didn't put as much focus as I could have going into Beast of the Bay. So that being said, I have a year or so now to kind of figure these things out. And I hope that I'm able to deliver a really good experience for you guys and make the things bigger and better. What local comps, yours and not yours, are you looking forward to the most? Honestly, I think that Luis Valero's All-American Games is going to be a pretty cool event. He's got some cool events. He got? Keg throw for distance, barrel deadlift, Fingal's fingers, Atlas stones, and Hercules hold. So I believe those are the events. There's no overhead in that one, but some pretty cool power stairs. 6 events. So I think that one's going to be really great. Lewis is a cool guy. I think he's going to pull it off. It's on the St. Pete Beach. Will be pretty sweet. And we'll figure that out. Another Record Breakers event next year. Stay tuned. There are more Record Breakers events coming. So if you are interested in those, just stay tuned on the Florida Strongman Instagram and the Florida Strongman Club page on Facebook. And we'll kind of keep posting those. But there will be more meets with individual record-breaking attempts. Chandler Caudill's Swamp Monster in Gainesville at the end of this month has some records up for grabs, but there are going to be more coming because a lot of people ask for those. And done. As state chair, I'm trying to give you guys kind of some more of what you want when it's possible. So always opening to ideas. Trump tire flip is an interesting idea. That's going to come down to resources and being able to get all that shit in the expo hall. So, maybe. I honestly, I do like that idea. I think that's logistically more possible than the car floor press, but I will say one event that I have in mind for next year is a Trump style event. I will tell you more on that if it comes to fruition. But I'm open to the idea. I actually think the Trump tire flip would be pretty cool. If I saw that in a show, I think that'd be pretty sweet. Um, if you know anybody that's got a 1,000-pound tire that'll bring it to the Florida State Fairgrounds next year, that'll certainly help make it a little bit easier for me. So think about that. Cool. Thanks for the question, guys. Says I had a few. If you have another one or two, I'll kind of stick around for a minute. Would be happy to answer anything, talk about something, whatever you want. Whatever. I really mean this as a promoter and also as a coach, and then also the state chair. I really mean that. I take my job pretty seriously to serve the community. So if you got anything for me, now's your time. But you can always hit me up on Instagram or Facebook, any of those stuff. I try to be pretty approachable on that. But I'll give you about one more minute here. If anybody has another question, I'll gladly answer. I appreciate you guys tuning in. I've only had a handful, but I'm pretty stoked with just getting anybody to jump in on the live stream. I announced this a little late. Sarah Infante, thank you. Appreciate you and Anthony always. It's always good to see you guys. It was cool. Anthony crushed it, man. That guy I just smashed it. I mean, he did it, but surprised he made it down to 220 fair and square. Made it happen. And that's that, dude. When is World's Strongest Manatee? TBD. To be determined. To be determined. I'm going to wrap up some stuff. Wrapping up everything this week, and then we'll kind of start getting the future projects rolled out. But with some longevity, I'm going to be putting the word out on some of these things pretty far out in advance. So all I got for you is stay tuned on that. Would be cool to get the tractor pushed back. We'll see about that. That was fun. That's that. So, all right, last shot here. If you got any questions, he stopped eating so much pasta. Good for him. Good for him. Sometimes that's all it takes. You just got to stop eating so much, man. Speaking from a former fat kid myself, in high school, I got up all the way up to 262 pounds. I think was the heaviest I ever stepped on the scale. And now I walk around like right now I'm about 188, but I even compete at U80. So I've seen 175 on the scale a handful of times in the last year, which is crazy. WWIT. If that's an acronym, I don't know what that means. Enlighten me. But I'm not sure. WWIT. Wonder what? When will it? Wonder what? Who will? I don't know. Max silver dollar deadlift. Maybe. Never say never, brother. Again, a lot of this, logistically just kind of comes down to if I end up being able to source like 3 different silver dollar setups, then that makes it much, much more likely. But that's this, this already is when I'm starting to source different things. All I can tell you is I have a pretty good idea, like very confident of what the overhead event will be. I think you'll really like it. Given that we have a lot of height in our arena now, I think I'm going to try to do some sort of throwing bag over bar type event. I again, will just depend on logistics, but I'm pretty sure we'll be able to do that. And we'll just kind of see what else is going to lay out. What's up, CT? Zach Taylor, thanks for jumping in, my man. Pretty please. Yeah, maybe that'd be we'll see about that silver dollar deadlift. We will see. We did the Axel Max last year, deadlift for reps this year on a power bar. We'll see, man. We'll see. It's too early to say anything for sure, but it's not a bad idea. The Trump tire flip is kind of interesting too. That just, well, again, I just keep saying it over and over and over. We will see, but the overhead event will be cool for that. I do think probably fire truck pull again next year, probably depends on Hillsborough County. And now we know how to run that a little more efficiently, which is good. You always learn. So that's that. All right. So I am coming up on 30 minutes here. It's about all the time I have for tonight. So last chance, if you have any questions, this is your 30-second warning, and then I'm going to be jumping off, getting some of my foods ready for tomorrow because I have a kind of big deadlift day myself. I'm pretty fried from the weekend, believe it or not. Still pretty tired, so got back into my training and eating and everything today, but gonna get back to the X. I guess my last piece of advice is it's kind of a cope and a trap sometimes that when something goes well to want to do nothing and maybe go relax or like get some escapism. But I tend to find that whether you're an athlete that had a good performance or me personally, I'm very very happy with how this went overall. It's time to get back to work. It's time to strike while the iron's hot or keep the momentum going, whatever it is. But I'm super 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 pumped with how things went. No show is ever perfect, but this one was very special. I will remember this for the rest of my life. So that being said, it's like, what have I done for you guys lately? Ha, that show this weekend, but so what? It's in the past now. So let's just keep building. Let's all keep getting stronger. Man, I've been seeing a couple guys at these shows now. Guys, Zach Matthews, Cole, Chappell, Trapper King. I don't know who you are. Who's your name? If you want to say what's up, tell me who you are. I probably know you, duh. But Danny Sutterfield, but like all you guys, Infante, keep seeing you guys coming back in stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. And that's the type of shit that keeps me going and keeps me wanting to keep doing these shows. So, it really is a team effort. I hope to keep getting better shows out there for you guys, but they also only get better if you show up and apply yourselves in all these times. Just remember, last piece of advice, this is it. There's a season to reap and a season to sow, and there is not a time for both in one season. So I hope you guys are having a great night. I hope you're all feeling well from the competition. You can reach out to me on Instagram, Facebook, wherever. Please do a big favor for me. What's up, Sean? The Trapper King. Nice. What's up, brother? All right. So, yeah, do me a favor. Subscribe to the channel. And I'm always open to opinions and input. So if you want to see some things, I got to tell you, Danny, I think the idea of the Trump tire flip is pretty cool. So, who knows? We'll see, brother. But that's that. Have a great Tuesday night. I may be doing more of these streams in the future. But thank you so much for tuning in. If you were competing or just out there supporting, I really appreciate you. And have a great night. No Moss Wrestling. Well, fuck it. Moss Wrestling, maybe. Why not? So have a good night, guys.